Missed my best setup, but was able to find another trade. Let's see what I did. All right, guys, welcome back. Daily recap. Tuesday, August 23rd, 2022. 2 green days in a row to start the week. We'll take it up almost 3R nearly on the week here. 2 winners, no losers this week so far. Averaging 357 a trade. And this is today's trade. Let's go ahead and take a look. Actually, before we take a look at that trade, we're going to go through the missed trade first. This is going to be the missed trade that I missed early. Pre-market analysis was neutral. I expected a ranging day. Price gave a false breakout to the upside and then held below the highs as I planned for. I set the trade, but then removed it. I was scared out by the dollar dropping so hard, right? If I want to be short, I want the dollar going long. But the dollar was dropping hard at the time that I was setting up the trade. But what I needed to understand is that even with the dollar dropping, the price didn't move in the same manner to the upside. So as the dollar was dropping, really the markets, it did break to a new high there, but the markets weren't pushing up the way the dollar was pushing down. And so if the dollar found some demand and started to go up, this market was going to come back down. And that's really my failure in the analysis and why I ended up taking off the trade, right? When the dollar finally did pull back, that's when the market dropped and I missed my trade. If we take a look at the screenshot for it here, this would have been my entry. It would have been on this green pullback here. This right. So the market broke out to new highs here. This was above the overnight high, broke out, pulled back, and then started holding below, and then broke back down. And when it broke back down here, I wanted to get in on a pullback. It pulled back. I had my order here. When it pulled back again on this pullback, I took my order off. And see you later. Straight to target. It didn't make it to the 3-to-1 target, but it went straight to my 2-to-1 target. And so that was my best setup on the day that I ended up missing out on. Again, a recurring theme on this channel is me needing to gain more confidence in my setups and sticking to my trade plan and holding on to my trades, right? And so a missed trade that would have worked out. Let's go ahead and take a look at the actual trade that I did end up taking. It was a little bit after we got off of the live session. $306. Let's open it up. It was a 2R plan trade, and I got 1.56 out of it for about $300. I was risking 200, and I made 300 on it. I wrote here, it was a difficult trading day. The ES has been in a 44-point range, and right now it's 330. It's still inside of a 44-point range. ATR is like 67 today, I believe. So in a very tight range, price attempted to break out long early in the session. That's the trade we just talked about, but I missed my first setup short. Then when price broke down below the regular trading hours low, so the low at the open, and it was quickly rejected off of that level, price then made a triple top in an attempt to retest those highs, but failed, and I entered in on price action of the third retest. It was a good trade, but I need to do a better job of recognizing the type of day, which was a ranging day, which I did call it out. And I mean, I did recognize it, but even when I do recognize it, I just don't execute a plan based off of it being a ranging day. I kind of just still, right. I left a runner on that this could test the lows. It wasn't a runner to any new lows, but I left a runner on to overnight lows, which it never made it to. And so anyway, I need to do a better job of recognizing the type of trading day so that I can place my targets better and maximize the trade. This one I could have maximized it to get the full 2R instead of just the 1.5R. I was basically going for 2.5R to get 2.5R versus the 1.5R that I eventually had locked in. Let's take a look at the screenshot for it. So the trade that I missed was this short, but like I stated, price quickly got rejected off after it broke the opening range low, and then made a triple top up here. Tested it again, and on this third price action, when that candle closed like that, and then the next one even broke down some, I got in on a pullback on this green candle there. I was in it for 8 contracts. Stop above the range there, so had a pretty good entry. Could have been a little bit better, maybe a little bit higher on a different candle, but pretty decent entry there, right? With my stop above, my first 2-to-1 target here, near the low of the regular trading hour session, and then my 3-to-1 target was down here near the overnight low. The overnight low was a little bit lower, but right, this is what I was talking about realizing, hey, it's a ranging day. I should just take my 2-to-1 and call it good, not try and extend the trade out. Let's go ahead and take a look. So price broke down. I really didn't take any heat in this trade. Got in, price broke down fairly quickly. I mean, I knew that if it was going to break these 2 pivot lows here, that we were going to get a nice push down. But this actually created a low here. So it had already gone 1-to-1 at this point. Created a low, and then you'll see on the next chart that I made some adjustments to the trade. I'd even made some adjustments to the trade from the first screenshot. So originally when I got in 8 contracts, 4 contracts at 2-to-1, the other 4 contracts at 3-to-1. You'll see in this screenshot, my 2-to-1 was 6 contracts, and then I moved my last 2 contracts down just above the overnight low, which was 41.18. And this is what I was talking about, a ranging day. Should have just had all 8 contracts here, take my 2-to-1, call it good. I did make adjustments though, 6 contracts and 2 contracts, saying, okay, look, the 6 contracts, I was risking 200, and these 6 contracts, I'll make 1.5-to-1, $300, and we'll try and make another 1R there. So I was trying to get, if I got to here, 1.5R, I was trying to make 1 other R for 2.5, and if not, I would get stopped out break even. Now it created a low here, broke down on me, went 1-to-1, created a low, and pulled back hard when this 5-minute candle closed, creating, this is the low here that I just mentioned. New 5-minute open, pulled back hard. I, at that point, moved my stop down. I still had all 8 contracts. I moved my stop down. I'm like, if it breaks this, it made its attempt down. It needs to run. If it breaks this 5-minute candle to the upside, I'll take a break even on this trade. So at this point, wasn't risking any money in this trade. But I made another adjustment here because we had now created a new pivot low here. And I'm like, well, this might just retest this 5-minute candle here and continue to break up. So I was like, let me scale out of 2 of my contracts there. Right after I moved it, price immediately hit there and worked its way down. So at this point, I was here. Price pulled back. This is the 5-minute pullback. Didn't stop me out break even. Came back down. Took my 2 contracts at 1-to-1. It did a micro pullback, and I put those 2 contracts back on, right? So I scaled out of 2, but it gave a micro pullback. The internals kind of were rolling over on me that I did want to be short. I was okay. And so I added the 2 contracts back on, scaled out of the 6 of the 8 contracts right here. So that was my 1.5R, and then had my runner for my last 2 contracts. Price quickly broke back and stopped me out break even. And so that was my trade there. If we take a look at the internals during the trade, advanced decline, this is where I was in the trade. This is where I got out of the trade. advanced decline going down, so I want to be short. Good there. The tick chart hanging out below the green zero line up here, testing these lows and basically rejecting off the zero line, so pretty okay there. Right, it wasn't until these green candles started to break up that I got stopped out of the trade way out up here for break even. So same thing with the advanced decline. It wasn't until it pulled back here that I got stopped out of my trade. So so all good on those internals there. The dollar kind of stopped being in my favor before I got in the trade, right? We talked about it coming down in the overnight. On this pullback is where it first went short. Then this is where it attempted the longs, the triple top of my trade. But while this was going long here, and it started to break there, I'm like, okay, this is going to break out long, and this should push price down even further. It's in supply. Well, sorry, it broke this pivot here, and if it breaks that pivot and continues up, that's good for the short. Didn't really happen. It kind of just went sideways here. It went down slightly, which was okay for my trade, but you'll see it didn't really have much of an effect on my trade, those candles there, by the time I got out. But what was in my favor was the VIX. Right? If I'm short, I want the VIX to be going up, and it was. The first dash line is when I got in the trade. Second dash line is when I got out, and you'll see the first part of my trade, it went up in favor of my trade, and then started to pull back when I got stopped out. Again, 1.5 to 1, can't complain. This is the 4 major indexes at the time of my trade. I got in this candle here. After the triple top, and then broke down in a quick retest, and this is where I got in. What you'll notice here is that the Russell, by the time I got in, had already broken down quite a bit. The Russell was the strongest market, broke out in the early minutes of the market open. But also retraced hard. Didn't really go sideways as much as the other markets did. It rolled over quite quickly to the downside, helping me out in my trade. You'll see the same thing here. This red candle was the move where I targeted out of the trade, and the same here. And again, you'll notice the dollar. I was short. I didn't need the dollar to be going up, but the dollar was really in this. This needs to be moved over one candle. Oh, good Lord. Was actually going down while I was short in my trade in these 3 red candles. But the VIX after my trade went up. So those were the internals during the trade. I don't want to say that I lucked out in that trade, but I was also looking for longs after it made this pivot and came up here and tested. So there was a point in this pullback here where I was thinking about going long if it came down here. But it hung out up here so long and tested 1, 2, 3 that when it gave me that price action there, I was short. And the trade worked out. So like I said, up 3R on the week so far. It's only Tuesday. Can't complain about that. Trying to stay patient. And we will catch you guys tomorrow. Take care.